Hey, everybody, this is your boy John, aka Captain Mustache. Well, I guess no stash now. Anyways, we're going to be talking about Marvel versus DC today. And yes, we're going to be talking about a new segment. It's called What If, but Stupid. Anyways, you're going to find out in just a second.
We're geeks from the multiverse. We've come to unite all geeks. Now it's time to get geeky and dive right in, 'cause we're geeks from the multiverse.
Hold on one second. When I looked at you, you looked at this like this phased out, like I don't know what I'm looking at right now, and I was just so confused by your face there for a second. Can you explain that, Matt, real quick? What you were just doing?
I was deep in concentration.
Oh, is that what it was? You were refocusing your center now.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So as I mentioned before. Yes, of course. I'm John. Here's Matt. We already know who we are, but I'm just letting you know again. Yes. So I know I mentioned real quick the no stash thing. Yes, I'm going to say it. I know Matt looked at me and he's like, oh, you can't grow a beard. Anyways, you know what? I'm going to say this now. I have been trying to grow a very luscious beard. I look at Matt's beard and I'm kind of jealous. So I've decided that I did shave my face and I am letting it grow out again. It's going to take a little bit of time. It only took me like it was like 2 or 3 months-ish to really get where I was at before. So this time I'm going to try Little Beard Club. They're definitely not sponsoring me or Matt or here. I'm going to try a little something different. I want to get that non-patchy beard look. And so when I look at Matt, I'm like, man, come on, man. That's where I want to be at. I want to have a nice, luscious beard. I want to have something that I'm like, whoa, that's my beard. And Matt's like, yeah, I've had that for fucking how many years now?
I mean, some people are gifted and some people
Oh,
aren't.
people are like, oh, I'm sorry. I mean, I can grow a beard. It's just there was just certain patchiness to it. I just want to get to that point. I've been wanting to get to that point. And plus being in the National Guard, you couldn't do shit. I mean, I could grow a mustache. I could do all that. I could whatever. But then I'd still have to shave. I'd still have to do that. But anyways, I just wanted to try it. So yes, for now, I am growing my facial hair again. It's what it is. I know Matt's like, yeah, all right, little bitch. You're like, you can't grow a beard. I'm like, you know what? I want to prove to you that I can, and I'm going to try to make it more fuller this time. But that's just a little side topic here. But anyways, we are going to talk about Mr. Mr. I don't know why I'm naming it now, but like this new segment that we've decided to come up with. This good old what if, but stupid.
Yes, we have brand new music and a whole segment. So
get ready.
We're going to just go right into this here. Here we go.
What if?
But stupid.
I still can't. I really cannot get over that.
I know.
What's stupid? And he's like, man, stop sounding like Goofy every time you start saying that.
So, yes, welcome to What If But Stupid. So, this is the multiverse nobody really asked for, but everyone regrets visiting. And we take iconic geek moments in Star Wars, Marvel, Nintendo, anime, whatever. And we ask the dumbest possible what if questions. We twist the lore, break the rules, and we dive face first into the absurd until it's so wrong that it's hilarious. And this one, I mean,
please hold on. We're gonna mention this real quick before we go any further. This is all AI generated. We're gonna throw that out there right now because this was not something that I don't think even Matt was even expecting at this point.
I was not expecting any of this, but I'm so glad that it came out this way.
He wanted me to read it too, and I was like, "This is no way a thing." And he's like, "Yeah, no, this is all AI."
Oh, so. This is all AI. And so this what if question is, what if Hulk's pants ripped all the way?
So, okay, let's go to preface this. So, like, when Hulk typically, or at least when Bruce Banner becomes the Hulk, he randomly has purple pants. Okay, so we just, for the longest time, you're like, okay, what's going on with this? But imagine if, like, this basically to the point where it's like everything rips apart and, like, all of his pants and, like, his shirt, like, everything's just gone.
In reality, this would be a feasible question because he's 2 different sizes when he changes.
That's true.
So, this is Hulk smash, Hulk flash.
A what if, but stupid sketch.
So basically, yes, we say Bruce Banner transforms into the Hulk, but this time there's no magically reinforced purple stretchy pants. There's just one full-on green thunder schlong flopping in the battle like a viney green jump rope.
I can tell you when I first read that, literally, I was like, "There's no fucking way this thing literally came up with all this
And
stuff."
I did not. This was straight Chat GPT, and when I first saw this, and I was like, "Really, GPT, a green thunder schlong flopping into battle like a veiny green jump rope."
I really couldn't even come up with the fact that it came up with that. And so we're gonna talk about a few things here, but
So these are immediate consequences.
yes. So civilians are fleeing not because of the rage monster, but because he's helicoptering through Midtown. Okay, imagine this. Like literally, it's just like, and
He's
so
like
that,
jumping around, and this thing just.
whatever, right? And then news helicopters ready. This is one of my favorite trailers.
Yes.
News helicopters sense of the carnage with giant blurry bars that can't move fast enough. So the fact that they're basically seeing this and nobody's like, oh shit, this is what it is.
We need to blur. I mean, at this point, I think you just probably just blur out the whole carnage.
I mean, I would just blur them out completely. Oh, what's this? A green blob? Who cares?
And then we have Black Widow trying to calm him down. We all know, hey, the sun's getting real low, big guy. Sun's getting real low. What are you looking at?
Like, what are you exactly looking at? He's like, well, I'm looking at something else, that girl. Especially you, Scarlett Johansson. Anyways. Yeah. And then the escalation, right? So here's some of the things here, the key terms here. So you got Avengers holding a meeting. Thor tries to lend him a pair of Asgardian trousers. They disintegrate on contact. How the hell do they disintegrate on is it because of the gamma radiation, I guess?
Maybe because of the gamma radiation.
And then Hawkeye blindfolds himself every time Hulk shows up. No shit.
And then, yes, you have Ant-Man. He tries to shrink it and then fails and then gets PTSD.
I didn't even read that one.
Yes.
That's funny.
Kids in the MCU start calling him the Incredible Schlong on TikTok.
Oh, my God. You mentioned that.
Oh,
okay.
my gosh.
And then villains start fighting Hulk to fights just to embarrass the team. Come on, big guy. Let the beast hang out. Come on, man.
God. The government declares it a class 1 weapon of mass destruction. Mass distraction.
So here's the other thing before we get further. So Matt made this random example. So he's like, what if this guy, this random, let's just say like a soldier or somebody, and he just, for some reason, Hulk's schlong just smacks him across let's say the city, and then let's say he goes into the ocean, and then he wakes up out of somebody saves him and says, "What happened to you?" And then I'll let you say the next part.
I don't know. I got hit by this green veiny thing.
He's like, I don't know what the fuck came over.
I see it in my nightmares.
He's like, I got major PTSD from this, and I'm like, no shit. I'm like, no kidding on that one. And then,
oh my gosh.
And then this one, I just was like, there's no way, but. This is the ending. Let's say if it was a Marvel movie, I'm not saying it would ever be, but you got Tony Stark who builds a Hulk custom nano fabric groin guard. That's a very long title there, but a malfunction inflates like an airbag during every fight. So the fact that it's just like this big old, it almost looks like, yeah, I guess you want to call it like a football guard, and it's just like massive to the point you're like,
it's probably like a Hulk jock strap.
I mean, and then the thing is like, how big is this fucking thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, how?
Oh, it must be huge.
It must be. That's what she said.
That's what Black Widow said.
Oh, even worse.
But then, yes, it malfunctions, and it must literally inflates, probably like a huge airbag, right?
Yeah, and it just bounces off.
He leaves an Hulk smash, and his crotch explodes into a parachute-sized codpiece that slaps Thanos in the face and knocks him out.
And then the fact that Captain America, he whispers here and he says, "I understood that reference." And then they're rolling the credits. I'm like, this seriously.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Matt. I could not even believe that ChatGPT had this level of insanity. When it came to this segment, not only just the segment, but the fact that it came up with this segment.
I mean, could you just, if you could just imagine, the reality of this is probably more real, is probably more realistic if you're looking at the Hulk changes, especially the Edward Norton movie.
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yes, the comic books and maybe cartoons, you're not going to have them just. The pants are going to resize, but
every time, yeah.
how many times have you know you bought pants that were besides like joggers? Obviously, those are probably a little more stretchier than most other pants, but
Wait, well, hold on a second. How would you know that by any chance? Have you
well, they're
owned a
like
pair too?
they're like sweatpants. But like
No, no, no.
you're also talking about the size of a dude who's a scientist who's really
True.
skinny, not like me
Oh, no,
who's a
no.
bigger dude.
Oh yeah, no. He's very. It's like very like a toothpick. But yeah.
But you're talking about a smaller sized guy who transforms or changes into a giant like 8, 9, 10 foot like raging monster who's a lot fucking thicker.
Matt.
Thick with two C's.
all that bad. You,
Well,
you
no,
be careful here.
I'm just saying, like, even if you were wearing normal joggers or normal pants, I don't think unless you're wearing maybe yoga pants, but yoga pants would still rip.
Okay, Matt.
But this is what I'm saying. I'm saying that this would be
know
a
what you're
reality, and I'm just saying, imagine if the in that scene like Avengers,
Yeah.
right?
What, eating
where-
the shawarma?
Not when they're eating shawarma. When Black Widow, Scarlet Witch lady,
Yeah, Scarlet Witch, but go ahead.
does her thing on Hulk, and he's raging through the city, and you're just one of those people that are not in the way, but you're just like watching him, and he's butt ass fucking naked, and you're like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Here's my thing. The entire time that you just were speaking, I literally was like watching your hands do this, like this little like.
I do
little
that all the
flappy-
time, though.
No, hold on. But then you're like, and then I wanted to ask you. You're not answering my question. How would you know? Like, for example, I was like, how do you know that stretchy likeness of like the joggers or even the yoga pants? I'm not. No, I'm joking. I was like, Matt, are you trying
Like,
to say
I
that
don't
you
wear
wear 'em?
fucking joggers.
I mean, I don't know. Do you? Do you wear fucking yoga pants too while you're at it? I mean,
I don't wear yoga pants, but I know the stretchiness of fucking pants. I'm not like, I don't live under a rock, John.
I never said. No, I was joking, man. I was trying to say that. I didn't know if you wore it, but that's what it sounded like.
No, I have joggers, or I mean, I don't really call them sweatpants. I would just call them joggers, but I mean,
Okay, no, it's fine. I mean, hey,
but I'm just saying in general terms, like if you were just seeing this unfold and you're like seeing the Hulk just like rampaging through the city, and you were just like, what, like, why the fuck is he naked?
Not only,
What the hell is going on?
Not only
Why
that,
does he not have
hold on.
pants on?
Imagine the very first Avengers fight in like the first movie, and like he's just butt ass naked with a schlong just like dangling off, and just like, okay, Hulk smash, and he's like, skabam, but he's just like beating the shit out of those goddamn aliens, and they're just flying everywhere. And
I
he's
mean,
just,
imagine that conversation when he's like Captain America walks up to him. He's like, "It's time to suit up." Like,
yeah, and he's like, hold on,
and he's like, "Hold on," and like the pants just rip off, and Captain's just sitting there going,
damn.
No.
No, remember, actually, even better. Ready? Imagine, like, remember how one of them asked, like, what's your secret, Bruce? And like he does all that, and he's like, yeah, because I'm always angry. So like he does this thing, and
Like I don't wear any pants when I'm the Hulk.
he's like, I just don't wear the pants anymore. Then he's just like, oh wow, there we go.
Like I just don't wear any pants when I'm the Hulk
and
anymore.
then Black Widow's like, I see you now.
Like I just let my balls hang loose.
Like hanging through the wind here. But anyways, now we're done
Oh
talking
my gosh,
about that.
yeah, that was just stupid. But I mean, that's kind of the idea of the. I mean, there's multiple different topics that have come up with AI and the ideas. So we're gonna do some more of these like kind of what ifs, and they're really just stupid, just kind of like segments and conversations.
Well, I mean, it's not taking the idea from Marvel about the what if thing. We're just taking that idea, but like really making it extreme.
We're just twisting and
We're just making it the worst possible version of each thing.
It's like when you have a face cloth and it's wet, like we're just wringing it out and seeing what comes out.
Yeah,
like,
we're just like, fuck
yeah.
it. We're just gonna see how this works.
But we have we have our round 2 because we already did a Marvel versus DC, and
A
I
long
understand
time ago, yeah.
I understand some people were like, hey, I thought you were gonna do Marvel characters versus DC characters, and that wasn't really the heart of what we were doing.
No,
we're really just pinning the Marvel franchise against the DC franchise, and really just having a discussion on which franchise really is going to really win this battle, because it's really like these two franchises really are different.
I mean, maybe later on in time, maybe we could do a segment where we do talk about like the differences of like the Marvel characters and like the DC characters because we've talked about it before. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast or not, or in separate conversation. Yeah, I mean, of course, we've talked about that. Yeah, a lot of technically DC characters and Marvel characters they actually stole each other's ideas. A lot of the characters that they did. But again, I mean, that could be another, segment down the road
Yeah,
or something
it
like
wasn't just wasn't the heart of the conversation. The conversation was really about the franchises themselves and who is going to really win this battle between the two of them, because really they're still battling
that. Well, even
this
now,
like cinematic.
it's like this superhero
Battle.
showdown of like who's the king of the ring, like who's the grand master of like Marvel, or I
Yeah.
was going to say Marvel movies, but like
Who's going
superhero
to
movies.
have the better cinematic universe between Marvel and DC?
I mean, again,
And I don't know if anybody's really winning at this point.
No, I mean the fact that yes, DC did a good job with hiring James Gunn to be kind of the lead of like in this case like the Kevin Feige of Marvel, but like
we think.
well, we think right now, yes, right now, but
think.
we don't know. And so yes, talking about like we've talked about before, with Marvel and DC. So here's the thing: right now, Marvel's quantity, versus the DC gaps. These are kind of like two kind of bigger concerns because Marvel has talked about in the past that yes, the quantity is what they're now focusing on and making less, films and TV shows because before they were making like so many fucking TV shows and only making or maybe making like two or at least one or two movies. So and the problem is they've had different divisions of like, they had what was it the Marvel Studios in general, but like they had their film and their TV and the whatever.
Well,
And
everything with Marvel was together, and they've only recently separated like their animated division and their
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 TV and
their TV, and then now their cinematic movie division. But yeah, I mean it's really you look at Marvel's quantity, and then you look at DC where there's so much fucking gap in between, and you're like, well, what's better? Should we flood the market and risk burnout, or release less and risk irrelevance?
right. And so like DC is kind of like taking Marvel in some ways and saying, hey, we want to make a great movie, and then say, hey, we're gonna just in this case because like what was it? The whole Supergirl movie is supposed to come out 2 years later from what this original film Superman is like right now, like because like that's the biggest thing is like, is that too much time? Is it going to be relevant enough, right? Because
Supergirl, I think, is slotted for 2026.
was it 20? Okay, so I guess it's not too bad. But the biggest thing is that, when you have, in this case, right, where Marvel they've made so many movies and all these other like random ass characters that they throw in. The issue is like we've said, when you look at phase 1 to 3 and you saw the original like Avengers trilogy of like, seeing all the characters and growing up with it and like, oh, this is great, this is amazing. And then they just randomly throw in characters and then they don't talk about them until like 4 or 5 years fucking later. And it doesn't make any relevant sense. So I'm hoping that with DC in this case, they don't do that. They make it relevant to what is going on in the timeline of what they're doing. Because as long as it makes sense, because like when you start to look at Marvel in the sense of like, adding, Black Panther, when they showed Wakanda in that one scene, I can't remember which movie at the top of my head because again, there's so many goddamn movies. There was a reason why they showed the Wakanda like the panther skull, like or the rock, right? So that was a necessary piece to show like, hey, Black Panther's coming. Okay, so that's a cool Easter egg. So in the case of like Superman, I know they I'm pretty sure that like you said there might have been like a scene or something like they show Supergirl, even though I know you and I have talked about certain things about that character, but it's one of those things that they need to make sure that everything makes sense and they're not, prolonging, stories because it's not going to be relevant. And I think that's the biggest piece because, and that doesn't matter if it's Marvel or DC. If you start with a character, then make sure that they're somehow fitting into that point because if not, it's not going to make any sense. It's not going to make any relevant value to what is going on.
Right.
Right. Because I mean, that's the biggest thing. But, kind of going into This next thing, like, we've talked about it already, but this DEI, divide. And so Marvel, as we all know, they've been pushing the fucking narrative on the DEI shit all day, every day. Now, here's the other piece to this. DC, on the other hand, is actually trying to lightly touch on it, but not enough to like overflood, the movie with all.
Yeah, I
this
mean,
shit.
it's still diverse in their casting,
Right.
but I mean, you look at some of the casting choices with what they've done. I mean, maybe not so much with James Gunn yet,
Yet.
but if you look at DC as history says, I mean, they've had a black character replaced, in Batman,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and some of the,
I mean-
with like, Batwoman was black, and
Yeah. I mean, what I was also
Commissioner Gordon at
Oh,
one
yeah,
point was
no,
also black,
yes.
and then I mean there.
Robert Gordon too, but I'm not going to go.
Yeah, I
into
mean,
that.
so that they've made choices that were still diverse casting. And I'm not saying that that's wrong or that's right, but they're less, they're not less. I would say they're more stealthy about how they insert their DI messaging, because they're baked right into the plots, and not like, hey, this character's a lesbian, so let's have them just make out with women the whole time.
No, I mean,
You know what I mean? But that's what Marvel does.
no, and so here's the other big thing too, and I just thought of it too. So here's a prime example. So at least with like DC, I know when you look at, for example, Green Lantern, right? Hal Jordan was the original Green Lantern, but guess what? There was a black version, right, of Green Lantern who was John Stewart, which is also comic book related. I'm not saying that if everyone's like, oh, you should go with John Stewart first. No, what you should do is keep with
Well, we're
Hal
getting
Jordan.
a show with like 3 or 4 lanterns in it.
No, okay, but I'm just saying that in the sense of like storyline, like sure, have Hal Jordan play it first, and then potentially get John Stewart into the mix, because again, Hal Jordan technically in the comics dies, and
Well, like
then
I said,
John
I
Stewart
mean,
comes in.
we're getting a show from DC that has I think 3 of them in there.
I get it. I'm just saying though, like that's just me. Like if we're talking about the comic book sense, I'm not saying every character doesn't have like the opposite color or race of whatever that version is. It just so happens that Green Lantern had that, where yes, it was a white guy who then gets portrayed by a black guy, and that's just what it is, and that's okay. But in the sense
So
of
it'll have Hal Jordan, John Stewart, and Guy Gardner.
right, okay, cool, fine.
So it'll have those 3 characters.
But again, with
And Sinestro, by the way, too.
oh, cool. No, I'm just saying, but that's, you see my point though? Like that comic book makes sense, like in the sense of that. Whereas, like, if you start saying, hey, you know what? Nightwing, we're going to make him black. Just because. Just we want to throw it in there. Or we're going to make whoever.
But I mean, that's what, I mean, this is what Marvel is doing. And I think that's what we're talking about. Like, this is the difference between what Marvel is doing and what DC is doing, where, yes, you may have, and we actually, I mean, we talked about this in our superhero fatigue episode where, they may take a Hal Jordan character. If this was Disney, they would take Hal Jordan and just make him a drag queen for Madripoor. You know what I mean? Like that's what they would do. They would basically take Hal Jordan and make him like some queer person, because, well, we have to represent the LGBTQ community. So we have to make him a black drag queen. And they're then you have, well, what about John Stewart? Well, he can be a Latino, because that makes sense, so that you don't have 2 black people next to each other. You
I know, I'm watching you.
the people that are listening, you can be like, well, you're just a bigot and an asshole. No, if you sat in a writer's room, these are the fucking conversations that are happening. You know what I mean? Like, these are the actual fucking conversations that Disney are having, like, in these things where you can actually replace a white character and go, no, this makes sense to make him a drag queen for Madripoor.
No, okay.
What? It does? No,
hold
it
on.
doesn't.
But then, but
it's like,
let's put it this way. So let's say if you start changing up a character that was like again that was originally black, Asian, whatever, right? I'll just throw it out there, and then you make him a white woman, or no, we'll forget about woman here
You
for a
can't
second.
have a white woman.
No, hold on, sorry, a white male, right, or a white whatever,
Can't do that either.
right? And so because in this case, you're like, okay, so but that's racism. Like, we're just gonna do that now.
Not unless he's purple. Because the guy that's playing Sinestro is a white dude, but his skin is purple in the show, so that's fine.
Right. And
You
so
know, you know what I mean? So it's a weird thing, but but this is what I'm saying. Like, you have a show like Lanterns. Yes, Kyle Chandler is playing Hal Jordan, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because he's a white dude. But if
Right.
this was Disney,
they would.
your Hal Jordan probably wouldn't even be in the show because Jon Stewart would be the main guy.
Oh, absolutely. And they would just forget about Hal Jordan because they wouldn't want to show him.
And Guy Gardner might be the guy that's next to him because he's an idiot.
Yep.
Who looks like an idiot with a stupid haircut, and that's why that's why he would be next to him.
You know what?
And then what they would do is they would put a female Latino woman next to him who would be another Lantern because they have to fill the spot.
Or ready. So here's what they do: they have Jon Stewart as the lead. They make Guy Gardner Asian, right?
No,
or somebody like that.
He's already established as Nathan Fillion.
No, but I'm saying in Disney's version, they would make him like an Asian or something of that nature.
Well, they wouldn't change.
No, I think they would. I think they would.
They
totally
wouldn't
do
change
that.
him if he was already established.
No, I think they would.
I doubt that they would change him. He's already an idiot.
I understand that he's an idiot. I'm just saying that if they're trying to meet the DEI quota, that's what I'm saying.
No, they would just. I think they would keep him in there. They would just make him an idiot so that he's the white dude idiot. That's the comedy relief. And then you would have the strong female with the strong black guy, and they're Latino, and you have the black, and you have boom. And the female's also a lesbian, so you cover all your damn bases, and that's what Disney does. And again, you can call me a bigot, you can send me a message, I don't care, because I'll send you a hate one back. I don't care. But
And that's bad for you.
These are the conversations that happen in Disney. And this is where I think when you look at DC, Superman did not have this in this movie.
No. Or, well, again, I haven't seen it. Yes, I'm going to say it now. I have not seen it yet.
If it had it in the movie, it wasn't noticeable from the plot and from when you're watching the movie, it's not noticeable. And you can be like, well, Hawk Girl or whatever her name was a Latino. Who gives a shit what she was? She's still a character. She could have been a purple-haired freak. I don't care.
I mean, no, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
she could have been anything.
I mean, so technically, like, yeah, when I always think of like Justice League or like the Unlimited series too that they did, yeah, she was a white woman who had red hair actually, and I know in different versions it's like, I'm trying to think of Black Adam, like because she was in that too, or a version of that, and I can't even remember what race she was at the time, but the point is like, depending on the version, I mean, technically it's like, one version's like, they were like in Egyptian times, and there was, and so there's like, it's so many different variants. So I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter about, certain characters. I mean, again, but it's going back to the damn blueprint because noticing what is right. But again, I know we're not going to talk about this much longer, but it's just knowing what can be done correctly. Again, by showing certain DEI things, but not having that push. If we're saying it,
if you're baking it into the plot, and this is where I think it's different because Marvel doesn't bake it into the plot. Sometimes
they just change the damn plot.
Most of the time, they're changing the characters and they're changing the plot, and this is where we really ask that question: is Marvel's approach going to keep those audiences engaged, or is it going to alienate them?
I think
DC going to attract those tired of that message first writing that Marvel does, or is it going to risk that criticism for not pushing enough diversity? That's really like the two questions that need to be asked about the whole conversation.
Yeah, because here's the real thing, right? Which approach will win the long term? Message driven content or pure escapist storytelling with representation as a side benefit? I think personally, DC is probably going to win that. I think DC is probably going to understand that if they can learn any lessons from Marvel.
If it's real DEI, DC's going to win it.
Oh, that's what I mean. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
If
They're
you-
going
if
to
you-
show.
If
that-
you weaponize it like you did with Ironheart, where your actors are out there going, "Oh, I'm glad there's finally content in Marvel that represents real people," and,
So
and
where's
they,
the other? Hold on. Where's the other 8 billion people on the planet? or
basically
whatever
they did
percentage?
they did the same thing that all the actors and the show creators did with Acolyte.
I was gonna mention. I was wondering if you're gonna mention that.
Yes, they did the same exact it was the same exact wording and phrasing that they used when all those actors and actresses talked about Acolyte.
Listen, I'm not. And here's the biggest thing that Matt and I are trying to say here. We're not saying you can't do certain things. What I'm saying is the general public. I think most people really truly don't care in the sense of whatever you decide to do, as long as it makes sense in the story, it doesn't matter. Like what the character
and I
looks like
think-
and this and that. It's just a matter of, does it make sense to put it in a story, and does it drive the story?
Yes, I
with the
think
characters?
that's like a big part of it. But I think the general public and I'm not trying to be. I mean, I am trying to be. I am kind of that rude.
Oh, that is Matt. Yes.
I am that rude, but I'm honestly not trying to be that rude right now. But I think honestly, most people are just too stupid to understand that DEI is meant to be fair for every single person. And whether or not you're part of the LGBTQ, or you're, maybe you are Latino, or you're Black, or you're part of an ethnic group, or maybe you're part of a disabled group, or you're part of that other kind of group, and you're not a white male or a white female. DEI is supposed to be fair for everybody, not just for you. And when you start excluding, that's no longer DEI.
Yeah, that's
I'm sorry.
weaponized.
I'm sorry. That's no longer that's a whole nother thing. And we went through this already, and I'm not going to go through it. But like I said, I'm not trying to be rude, but I think general society is just too stupid to understand that there's two different things going on.
I think as a whole, though, I mean, when it comes to, for example, Matt and I are both white. We're both males. I guess in the sense of societal.
I'm probably getting canceled after this, so
It's
good.
okay. So no, I mean, because we're both, again, we both have families, we both have wives. Okay, so that alone, right there, we would already be excluded from basically everything that DEI talks about in the sense of what Marvel or whatever other
Our characters
place-
would be killed
we-
off already.
Yes,
yeah.
correct. We would be dead. But the thing is, though, is at the end of the day, when you start to look at, I always, and this is the weird part, right? And I'm not going to say this, I'm not going to go into too deep in this, but when you look at Martin Luther King's little civil rights, let me phrase that, not little, but the big movement of that piece, he was talking about literally getting black and white together to get on the same page in the sense of what he was talking about, right? Not weaponizing it, not this and that. It's not like he was like, okay, guys, we're going to take some guns and we're going to blow shit up. No, he was trying to make it make more sense to society. I mean, granted, again, we're talking about the 60s here, but, we're talking about two different eras where I understand, from back then till now, it's almost, and I hate saying it like this, we're almost reverting back to that shit in the sense of this shit that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's almost to the point where we're basically defending everybody else, but everybody else that, it's not like I'm going to say it. It's not like you or I were like, you know what, we own slaves. No, I never owned a slave. I never said I did any of that. My thing is when people start to say that you don't understand, you're right. You know what? I'm going to say it. I don't understand. I will never understand because that is your choice. But my choice is this. My choice is, sure, you want to tell me about it? That's fine. But what I don't need is for you to shove down this agenda to tell me that this way is the right way and it's not. the only way. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's what it is. There is no. It's like you and I can't think a certain way because God forbid. Yep, I use the word God here for a second. That we can't think a certain way because what happened to free will? What happened to choices that we
Well,
make as a human
I can
being?
guarantee that if most people were born here in America and they weren't born in like maybe the 30s or the 1900s or the 1800s, they probably don't own slaves either.
Correct, and I'm not saying. Well, no,
So
but
I'm just saying like there are places here in the world that probably still do own slaves, and if they do, yes, that's wrong. And
right, we're not defending that, and
we're not definitely not defending it, but I think there's a difference between, yes, maybe your family does, and I empathize with you,
right.
but
I'm not going to
you-
sympathize.
you personally were never a slave.
Correct.
I mean, if you live in a house, you don't call somebody a master. And if you went to college, that's more than somebody maybe that's already living in Africa who maybe is a slave still. You know what I mean? Like,
But it's true. I mean, what Matt's saying is right. I mean, there's no,
people in, I mean, I've been to Guatemala and I've seen people who are living in poverty. If you already live in a house and drive a car, you already have more.
But I've been in the Middle East. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, most places that are third world countries, some of them are definitely certain developments. Sure, that's great. But at the end of the day, I mean, when you start to look at countries as a whole, yes, America. When we talk about this American dream, right now there is no American dream. There is none of that shit's going on because right now, I mean, I see people moving out of the state more often now than I see because they can't afford to live here and such. But I know we're going down a deeper rabbit hole
this
right now.
is like, yeah.
But I'm just saying the I guess back to the main point of DEI. There's no reason whatsoever, and I know both Matt and I agree that there should be this agenda that needs to be pushed every single time that
Fair
they
for
make.
everybody. Like, it's not like, well, you're this and you're that, unless you're like maybe like a pedophile or some like a murder, like unless you're like a real deviant. I could see like no, you're just a you're just a pedo asshole that can go to jail. Like, no, fine. But like for generalized people like you see every day, we should all be treated. The DEI should be the same for everybody.
Right. No matter the color, no matter the race, no matter the age, the gender,
true.
the whatever.
That's true DEI. And Hollywood should be doing this across the board. We should not be, and we talked about this when we did this episode, where you have a movie like Reagan. This is a fucking documentary movie about history.
Correct.
I mean, granted, it was not a documentary, but it was an actual movie that was made.
Right,
But it
like
was
a biography.
It was based on real history. You can't add fake weaponized DEI in a movie about fucking history about a president. And then they take it off of the best picture category because, well, it didn't fit all the check boxes.
Well,
That's some fucking bullshit because
No,
it's like, well, I'm sorry, but you know what? We can't make our main character fucking black or ethnic. I'm sorry, he's fucking Reagan.
No,
you know what I
agree
mean?
with
Like,
you. And I mean, again, we've talked about movies in the past. I mean, I know eventually we'll be talking about 80s, 90s, and 2000s, but yes, some of I'm not going to say all of it, but like some of the best movies have ever been made. Yeah, we're in those time frames because they have good history because there was no agenda being pushed because some of the movies that even were, let's say, I call it nonfiction, I guess, in books, but like, that were real, that were based on true events, or even ones that were, that could have been real, but they're not. They're just basically about a character or whatever. But, some movies that were like really genuine, like when I'm just going to throw it out there. When you look at The Godfather, or you look at like, I'm thinking more like Denzel Washington here, but like, I'm trying to remember the movie. It was he was a gangster. Actually, I think it was called The Gangster. But anyways, you look at movies like that where cinema at those times, it's just genuine. Like
Yeah,
I'm
it
throwing
was-
like, Denzel Washington, like he's a great actor. Like he's an amazing actor. I love him in a lot of movies. And then you look at, like I said, when you start to look at, let's say, The Godfather and Al Pacino, and I'm drawing a blank here. Who's the original Godfather, man? Come on, help me out here. Come on, you gotta help me out here. You're telling me you don't know who the original Godfather was? Come on.
I'm drawing a blank.
See, now I'm drawing a blank. But anyways, but my point is, I'm gonna just say this. You look at those movies, yes. You have Denzel Washington being black, and he's this he's a gangster in the movie, and he's actually based off of, I'm pretty sure, a real character.
Marlon Brando.
Thank you. I know but again, another great guy. So Marlon Brando and Al Pacino and all that.
But you're also talking about a different era of movies
No, I
where
know,
this,
but it's
this
just-
GI shit wasn't even in a forethought of people, and they actually
know.
looked at like
Real storytelling.
yes.
But that's what I mean, is like that's where it should be. And that's what it should
I think
be
that's
now.
where it should be.
I know it's where it should. I know that's where
And
it
this
should
is,
be.
I mean, we should get into the next segment because this is where, we really get into brand identity representation of each of the brands, because when we look at Marvel, the MCU, feels less like, yes, they are interconnected, but it feels less like they're connected and more like a bunch of side quests, right? Like a lot of the characters now, like they don't hold their brand weight like Iron Man and Cap did. Like when you have, and we always go back to phases 1 through 3 because those were the best ones.
Yes,
And
because they interconnected.
Iron Man and Cap and Hulk, like Hulk back then,
Oh yeah,
they held their brand weight. Phases 1 through 3 felt like a connected saga because they were literally, Iron Man and Cap were almost in every single one of those movies. But now there's so much different things going on, different shows, different movies. None, like we were just saying in one of the other episodes, we hadn't seen Sam Wilson's Captain America in like 5 years.
yeah.
So how are we supposed to get connected to a character we haven't seen in 5 years?
And that's what I'm saying about these major gaps of characters. Even though you're pumping out movies and TV shows, it needs to be connected, because I have to remember from 4 or 5 years ago what the fuck happened to Falcon, and then him becoming Cap, and then like now 5 years later,
It
like
just-
hey,
Complete identity crisis. Where on the other hand, DC doesn't have an interconnected universe at all, but what they have is they have characters. I mean, granted, they have multiple movies where you're like, well, what the fuck is going on with all these movies? But they have recognizable icons who are their brand. They have Superman, they have Batman, they have Wonder Woman, they have The Flash.
just not Ezra Miller.
Not Ezra Miller, but they have these icons who carry weight. And the thing is, right now is, yes, Superman did come out, but if DC nails, Superman, and they nail Supergirl, and they nail Batman Part 2, they can start really rebuilding that brand trust.
Right. And here's the other thing. What they really need to do personally is work on these, characters. So like, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. It can be Aquaman. It can be, hell, it can
fuck
be great.
Aquaman.
Well, I don't know. I'm just throwing, like, if you think about the original members of the Justice League that started, and then, you build, the sure, like some of the other characters into it down the road.
Yeah, I think
It
I
could
mean
be
I know
good.
James Gunn is going real slow with building this, but like Marvel needs to slow its ass down. And I know like it's right now it's building up. And it's building up to Doomsday and it's building up to Secret Wars, but I hope after Secret Wars
They do a
They
fucking boot.
they do a reboot and they slow their ass down, because what they do need, and granted, the more that I read about fucking Fantastic Four and Pedro Pascal, the more I fucking hate it. I honestly,
What about it now? Because I didn't hear anything.
honestly, like the more I read about Pedro Pascal, the more I don't want to see him in anything else. Like
Okay, no, go further with that, because I'm curious now, because I didn't actually read that.
you'll have to look up some of the interviews that he's done and the bullshit that he spews out, because he spews out a lot of political nonsense, and he's been attacking fans who's been like basically attacking like Fantastic Four and some of the choices that were made in the making of it, and basically saying like it's our fault, like basically what basic Disney things do.
Oh, okay.
What Disney does when they don't like their fans attacking their shit. But this is like what Disney does anyways. Like they hire these actors and actresses, and then when movies don't quite make the amount of money that they need to make,
yeah,
these actors and actresses basically go on these tirades. It's not just Pedro Pascal. The actress that was
it was a Wonder Woman you're talking about?
No, it was the Disney movie. What was it? Why can't I think of it? Cinderella?
Oh, Snow White? You mean the new one?
Snow White.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, it was Snow White. That actress did the same thing.
Oh, I had no idea.
She came out, was like trying to defend her stance on the movie, and that movie, I mean, I'm not watching it, but that movie looks horrendous. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it was the same thing with Ironheart. Nobody liked Ironheart except for the people that were, in that category. Same thing with Acolyte.
I know Matt's infatuation with Acolyte is something else.
But this is a Disney problem where the people that they hire, once their projects don't make, once their projects don't succeed,
yeah,
they're like instant protesters, and they go out into the media and they start spewing their nonsense into these interviews, and it's like, just stop already. But
yeah.
Pedro Pascal also did this with, the TV show on HBO Max.
Oh, The Last of Us.
Yeah, so he did this with season 2 when people were like, "Well, this show is bullshit," because season 2 sucked so hard at the end. You know what I mean? Like,
well, because here's the other thing. I mean, when you also have a TV show that you basically can only base it off of 2 games at this point. I mean, granted, there's a lot of material. But it's because when you have a great first season and then you're like, okay, so what are we going to do for season 2? You would hope that it follows the story in the sense of that.
And then season 2 just like, no, we're throwing this fucking thing out the window. And then you just
like, what the fuck just happened?
You're like, hey, we're heading for this iceberg. Should we try to steer the ship away from it?
Nah.
No, the iceberg's really small. We should be fine. We got a big ship.
Yeah, it's called the Titanic.
We got a big ship. That's a small. I can fit that thing on my glass. Come on.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh wait, that shit's a lot bigger than you think. And then you're like, hey, wait, it's the Titanic all over again.
But this is where you have really this like question of does the brand strength come from the studios itself, or does it come from the characters themselves?
That's a really tough question because, yeah, depending on which, I guess, studio or whatever you want to call it, is making it. I mean,
I lay on the side of characters, to be honest.
Well, I do agree with you on that. I would say that, but here's the thing though. Like, here's where I'm going to split that. Characters, I'm going to give it to DC right now because as long as James Gunn is taking it slow and doing it that way, sure. The brand, on the other hand, right now, yes, Marvel, if depending on how they do all this, and yeah, and like we've said, like with the whole reboot, if they don't do something after the whole Secret Wars thing after that, they're going to lose their brand. And then, yes, DC will then eventually take
That's
that.
the thing. I mean, I think, yes, you can have a lot of strength in your studio. Like Marvel, because they're part of Disney, yes, Disney can put tons of strength into Marvel, but if they don't have strength in their characters, it doesn't necessarily make Marvel strong. It makes Disney strong.
No, that's
and so
what I mean.
When you're saying like DC, not Disney, DC, if their characters are strong, then I would have to say that once the characters themselves, like Superman, and you can't, now that you have Superman, you can't just fucking ignore him. You
Correct.
have to put him in something else. So you have to include him in Supergirl. If you don't, then you're fucking it up.
Yeah, because then if they say, "Hey, we're going to show Batman real quick," and then you're like, "What the fuck does this have to do with
But
anything?"
this is the thing. Like, you have to have the strength in the characters, and this is where, I think if DC can nail the characters and nail like that interconnectedness,
They're going to
then-
win.
then they're gonna win. They're gonna win that. And
But I do like this next piece though, within the same.
Yeah.
It's this whole Marvel thing where, yes, they have powerhouses too. They have good characters and groups
yeah,
that can actually do it. So Fantastic Four, yes, but I would even say X-Men would be right now probably the stronger of the two.
if they don't fuck it up,
As long as they don't fuck it up,
Swear to
yes.
God, I hope they don't fuck it up. 'Cause
Well, here's the biggest thing. We already know. Well, actually, let me rephrase this. We don't already know, but here's the thing. If they fuck up Wolverine, Professor X, Magneto, like I can name a few here. As long as they pick the right people for the following the damn blueprint.
We're still several years away from
I
them
understand.
actually doing a like solid X-Men, because I think again, Secret Wars, you're probably going to see a lot of those classic Vox characters in
Oh yeah,
Secret Wars, and they're probably going to end up being dead.
probably.
And that's where you're gonna have to see a Marvel reboot of this multiverse.
And it's going to be Doctor Strange taking the lead here,
And-
redoing it.
That's the only way that you're going to be able to get an X-Men. But yes, Fantastic Four, you have, they can do X-Men at that point. I'm not even going to mention Eternals because they should be dead.
Although they should have been dead a long time ago, but yeah.
But you have the Deadpool still. But you'll have Disney Plus shows. I mean, the whole Daredevil Born Again. I mean, there's a Spider-Man movie coming out.
Yeah, I did see that.
So there's still plenty of things that could keep the MCU relevant. But
Right now, DC's looking.
it's really just that question too. I mean, we've already asked the question: is the content enough to keep them moving forward? Is it going to get them still rolling?
And like I said to you, I mean, me personally, I know Marvel has established a powerhouse in the sense of movies, in not so much the TV shows, but at least the movies for the most part, depending on which ones we're talking about. Right now with James Gunn, I know he's starting out and he's trying to brand DC for what it is. I know that I need to watch Superman, and I definitely will be watching it at some point. But the biggest thing is that if James Gunn decides to just like spew out movies literally every so often, but it does, and then show like side characters that doesn't make any sense to the interconnectedness, he's gonna fuck it up, and he's gonna do the same thing that Marvel did. And at this point, this is where we go back to the superhero fatigue and say, okay, you know what, we're done. And here's the problem. Matt and ours relationship at first was actually based off of Marvel, so it's pretty sad, when we're talking about this, that if it goes down that road, and then the fact that we're gonna be like, we're just gonna be the old, like the two old dudes that just like talk about the dumb shit, like, hey, do you remember back in the day, like, when Marvel actually was good, and then we're gonna be like, down the road, like, hey, do you remember what DC was like actually starting out great, but then they fucking took a left turn and they're jumping off a cliff at this point? Like, and I hate doing that, but I hope it doesn't get to that point.
I mean, yeah, you take DC, and I mean they're playing a long game. I mean, they got fewer projects. I mean, they got more TV shows than they do movies. Sure, I mean, they have a Clayface, they have Lanterns, they have. I mean, Peacemaker starts I think on the 27th of this month.
Oh,
so I mean, it's coming pretty soon. But I mean, they have more shows.
But they usually have better shows depending on what it is, and that's the thing.
Depending on what it is, but they're looking at like fewer projects but higher stakes. So they're looking at their pillar characters, and they're looking at carrying the audience forward without needing like those constant releases, and like things like Peacemaker and Lanterns. Like those are trying to build, I think, the connections between the two, because James Gunn has already said, like, this season of Peacemaker that's coming out is supposed to show basically like the future of where basically the DCU is going.
Well, then I guess I will be watching that season too.
So that's like Peacemaker, I guess, is really, really important, I guess, to the future of DC. But like
then we'll see.
we're also getting, Lanterns, and we're getting other content, but like we're getting Supergirl. We'll probably end up getting a Wonder Woman at some point.
Probably an
Like-
Aquaman too, even though he told him to go fuck himself.
But if those cornerstone DC characters land, like I said, they can build that DC Comics like trust back, and that's like the key difference. I think you have Marvel with the quantity and the familiar with Marvel characters, even though Marvel right now doesn't feel familiar.
No, it feels like we're in left field somewhere, and we're like, where the hell did Marvel go? Well, I don't know, because now we're bringing in the most randomest fucking
Right.
characters on the planet.
But you have DC, which is basically more quality and character power. I don't know. I mean, it's just you look at the two of them, and DC to me has the edge.
Well, and that's what I keep saying. Like I keep saying, and it's weird that we've talked about Marvel, and then we were trashing DC for quite a while, but like now we're kind of like switching focus, because right now it's like it is going to be exciting to see how DC wants to do it. But again, we've both said that Marvel could have a trick up its sleeve. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do.
And
Whatever.
I know we do joke about the whole Elseworld thing.
Oh, you mean the DC Elseworlds, baby? Like,
I know that we joke about it, but at least DC has it.
right. And I think with Marvel, I mean, watch them call it Marvel Elseworlds, baby. And then you're like, wait a minute, why'd you just copyright that?
That's
shit?
the thing. Marvel has nothing.
No, but the thing is they actually have it designed into their fucking thing because of the whole multiverse. They could literally call it, multiverse worlds, or maybe not worlds, but like universe, like the multiverse universe or whatever.
And they could do the same thing that DC is doing right now, and they could do content that's like on Iron Man and Captain America and Hulk and all these other characters, and call it like, they don't have to call it Elseworlds, obviously, but they can call it something else.
Well, and like we've talked about, I mean, the whole, again, I know we only watched, I only really watched the first season of it. I didn't really watch the second, but like the whole what if thing, like there's some great ideas in that where it's that same thing. Like you can take it into a different.
Most of them are just shit, though.
I know, but the point is like you could take that, like what you were just saying, like take that idea.
The zombies were the one good one, I think.
No, but again, that would be a great project, and they were talking about doing that, but they didn't. I don't know if they're ever going to do it.
I think it is coming out.
But the point is like we're just saying at the end of the day that Marvel could do exactly what DC is doing, but at the same time, I mean, God forbid they fuck that up too. But again, they have to. They always have to adapt, because unfortunately, just like DC's done it so many times. I feel like they're basically the biggest like shit artists when it comes to like, they know exactly how they can just scrap an idea and just keep doing it. Marvel needs to understand that yes, it's going to be, you can call it whatever you want to call it, in part of this MCU, but at the same time, when you have brought so many people together. When we talk about these I've talked about it so many times, he's talked about it so many times, the first three phases, because that was your cornerstone, because that was how you were telling great stories. You were bringing characters together. That you have to go back to that original set of the films and stuff to understand, like when you go forward and you want to make new ideas and you want to do all this shit, there's no fucking reason that you have to keep it on the the sideline for all these different characters that you want to pull in. You have to realize that at the end of the day, you can make whatever project you want. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But I'm going to tell you, I know you can say that, the fans can, go fuck themselves. We don't know what we're talking about. But I love how I'm going to bring this again. You have material. You can follow the fucking blueprint because you have it. And just like DC, that is what James Gunn is doing. He is following his damn blueprint and hopefully taking it slower so he understands, like, hey, how can I make this great? How can I make this great again? Gotcha. Anyway, no, he's like, shut up. Don't even mention that. No, I'm just saying though, right? It's the same idea. How do we make this great again?
The thing I think, Marvel always kind of does the same thing. Like their movies don't make as much money, and everybody, you have all these reviews and they say, woke culture is killing you. DEI is killing you. And then they come out and say, well, we live in a modern world and we're going to keep pushing the content. and then they make another movie, and it doesn't make as much money as they thought, and then they keep saying the same shit, and they go, well, we live in a modern world. We're still gonna push the, and then they make another movie, and then it doesn't make as much money, but they still keep pushing the thing, and it's like, so when are you guys gonna fucking learn?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, when are you guys gonna learn?
It's like also asking the question, like, what is normal? Like, since we talk about a modern world, what is like the world normal anymore? There's no such thing as normal. There has never been a such thing as normal.
Here's the thing. Yes, I understand. We live in we live in, I don't know, whatever.
Modern world. No.
We live in a modern world. Every single person, we go to our jobs Monday through Friday. Some of us, I know, we work on the weekends, whatever. I don't work on a weekend, but
Not anymore. Yeah.
like, we go to our jobs 40 hours, sometimes more. We go home, whether we're married or we have kids or whatever, but we live in a modern world, modern problems, whatever. When I go to a fucking movie, I don't want to see them on the damn screen. What I want is an escape. What I want is to watch a goddamn Marvel movie with people with superpowers. I don't want a fucking message thrown in my face. And that's the biggest thing that I pull out of these movies is like, if I'm watching a superhero movie, I want to see fucking superheroes. I don't care who they're having sex with. I don't care what fucking gender they are. I don't care if they're a furry. I don't care if they're red, yellow, orange, or pink. I don't care if they have a penis or a vagina. I really don't give a shit. What I care about is how well they're written, what they fucking do, and whose ass they're kicking. Like, that's honestly, like, that's all I want to see. But when I go into a movie and I'm expecting to see the Punisher, I'm expecting him to punish. I'm not expecting him to be a bitch.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
So I'm hoping that when the Spider-Man movie comes out, he's the fucking Punisher and he's not a bitch. Because if he's a bitch, I'm literally walking out of that movie.
I'm going to say this, right? At the end of the day, when you start to look at, the characters and start to look at each brand as a whole, right? It's hard to say which one's going to do better, because we both understand that they're not going to be, one's going to be better than the other. It depends on the choices that each, brand is doing. So DC and Marvel, or let's say DC or the DCU or EU, whatever, and then you got the MCU. Right now, both. Right, I mean, right now I can tell you DC is definitely making the smarter strategy. Marvel is not really understanding of what their problem is. They're saying, okay, we got this, we're gonna figure it out, blah blah blah. They're not really doing a great job at that. James Gunn at least understands Marvel's side of the house because he was there. But now that he's over at DC, he's taking probably the old strategy of Marvel and now adapting it to the new, hopefully DC extended universe that they're doing, and now understanding like, yeah, we need to build characters, we need to build a story, we need to understand how this can connect. And so like that's where James Gunn is. It's like stealing the playbook from a team that you were just on from, let's say let's call it the Cowboys, and then you're like, hey, fuck it, we're gonna go to the Raiders. I'm just throwing it out there as a random example, but like you already have the game idea here, and now you're gonna do it here. But and this is why we're saying this. It's hard to know who's going to do it, because really here's the ultimate question. In the next 5 years, who's going to really win the crown, or who's going to really get to that point of like, who's going to be the superior, studio? Like, and like, is it just going to be,
if both of them keep going the way they're going, neither of them will win, because we're going to be tired of what the fuck they're doing,
and then we're going to have a part 2 of superhero fatigue. No, but it's the truth.
But it's the truth. I mean, we're getting tired of the bullshit, and what we're tired of is not so much. I mean, we can complain about the DEI and all this other shit until we're blue in the face, but the little like monologue or whatever you want to call it that I just did is very accurately how a lot of people just feel. When I watch a superhero movie, I just want to see superheroes. That's it.
Right.
I don't care about all the other bullshit that you're putting into it, whether it's DC, whether it's an Image comic movie like Hellboy or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I don't care what you fill in the blank. I don't care what it is. I want to see a superhero. I want to see a villain. I want to see him fight, and I want to see powers. That's it.
So-
If you put bullshit in the middle of that, I'm out.
And here's the thing, and I'm gonna throw like a left field example here, but like, there's a reason why when you looked at Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and I'm only gonna say this because of just like kind of give an example of like you're talking about real world problems and all this stuff. The very first Spider-Man, at least the first one, maybe not so much the second one. This is like crazy to me because this is the first time when you see Spider-Man like in the sense of this. He's got problems. He's got, all these things going on. Like you see the realism. You see how he's struggling to become, Spider-Man and Uncle Ben dying and all this other stuff. And you see all that stuff and he's building it up. And then, he's versing Green Goblin and you see all this stuff and you're like, this is Spider-Man. Like, and you see that moment and it's real and it's like, wow, and then I know you got Andrew Garfield, then you got, Tom Holland, you got all that. But you're seeing all this and like you're watching this movie and you're like, wow, this is what I want to see in a superhero film because it's also based off the comics.
Right.
It's showing you this is the origin story. This is what it should be. And so when you're moving forward with characters in either brand, you need to go back to the fucking blueprint. I keep saying this, Matt, because I'm telling you because this is the whole point here.
It is the whole point. I mean,
don't change the goddamn guidelines.
The crown is going to go to that studio that's going to follow the fucking blueprint. And if it's DC, because they're following the actual blueprint, and yes, the blueprint includes DEI, like real DEI. The blueprint could include real DEI because guess what? Black Panther was real DEI.
Yes, and actually, it was a phenomenal movie. I thought it was great.
Miles Morales, real DEI.
Yeah. Could be a great movie, too, if they ever decide to make a film on that.
But that's the studio that's actually going to win.
Yeah. And like I said, at the end of the day, I know Matt and I, we've talked about so much, bullshit between Marvel and DC because, again, we've always talked about Marvel being the superior, brand. But at the same time,
because they have been. But now,
because we started this, like I said, almost 3 years ago, actually now. Well, 2.5 now. But we started this and now we're like, listen, we're not anywhere perfect. But what we are saying is that, we started this podcast to understand like, hey, we love our love for comics and things like that. It just sucks when, we're seeing how two major brands are now, depending on how they go and the choices that they make is going to determine what superhero films or even basically anything regarding those kinds of things down the road, or even if they're going to last.
when it's one of those things, when you're seeing other comic companies making better content than Marvel or DC, that's when Marvel and DC has a problem. Because when you can, for as raunchy as The Boys is a damn good show.
Yeah.
Invincible is a damn good show.
Yeah, and they're very, well, I wouldn't say they're like major, in the sense of that, but they're now becoming one, but they're doing it in a way that because they're not limited on things that they have to follow.
Right.
They just do whatever they want to do to provide the content, and it doesn't matter about because for example, The Boys. There are more men in that fucking show than there are women. I'm going to throw it out there right now.
They're doing a whole new. I think they're doing a whole new season of Gen V.
Okay.
And they're doing a whole new show, a spin-off show, basically a prequel of The Boys with Jensen Ackles.
Oh no shit. Okay, so but that's my point.
As Soldier Boy. So it's like Soldier Boy and like basically like how I think it's like the early years of Vought.
But that's the point is like you're having it that's already a connected universe or a connected sense of like
but you're seeing that success and they could easily do a movie based on the boys, and
Right.
it would become an instant fucking success.
Right. Because, I mean, now granted, you're not going to have your kids watch it, but, older, well,
But no, but I
adults.
mean, like, they're already seeing success and they're just doing TV. You know what I mean? And they do have an animated show. They have 2 TV shows right now. And now they're coming up with a third and possibly a fourth.
Hell, they were, ready? Here we go. This is my favorite for Matt. They were featured in a video game as well.
They were.
They were, as characters, actually.
But that's the thing. I mean, these 2, at least these 2 right now, like, they're becoming much more popular. And they could take off eventually, like, much more than, especially if they do more, like, with Spawn and more of these other characters from Image Comics. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if they do another Spawn movie or they do more with these other characters. Like, if they decide to get Ron Perlman to do Hellboy again, imagine a fucking new Ron Perlman Hellboy movie.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. I mean, if they actually could get the Teenage Mutant Turtle, TMNT,
I like
in general-
turtles.
I like turtles. Am I turtle enough for the Turtle Club? Anyways, no, but my point is like, if they could do it right for them, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, shit. I mean, I'm talking about all these, like we just talked about all these characters. If they can do better with that, holy shit, then Marvel and DC would basically be irrelevant, and they would just be like, we're gonna go back to comics now. Leave us alone, and that's the truth because, like I said, we're here, we're talking about it. Yes, I know we bullshit, we do shit, we discuss, we debate, we do all this other shit, but we're just telling you from our point of view, and sometimes it's the truth, and sometimes, I mean, I know we're not experts all the time, but. We're just saying it because we want you to understand, like, this is the kind of reality of what superheroes and anti-heroes and villains and whatever else is going to be facing down in, let's say, 10, 15 years from now.
It
Because
should not be this complicated to do a superhero movie with Marvel or DC.
No, and especially since DC has been around a hell of a has not quite.
If you gave me a month with ChatGPT, I could probably write you a good Marvel movie.
All right, there you go.
You know
There's
what I
your
mean?
hold on. No, that's the challenge, man. You're gonna do that. That's what you're gonna do. That's your homework for tonight. You're gonna somehow come up with a better Marvel movie than the rest. And even you know what? Fuck it. Why don't you just throw? I got it. Here we go. We do one about Marvel. We do one about DC, and then we pit them against each other, and then see which one's better of the two. I like it. See, we just came up with an idea, and we didn't even fucking know about it until just now.
So that'll be what, Marvel versus DC round 3?
Oh, maybe. Or how about this? I will do some homework. I'll let you come up with the Marvel. I'll try to come up with a DC one, and then we can pit them against each other.
Well, why don't we swap them? Because you're more the Marvel guy.
Fine. I guess I'll do the Marvel one, and you can do the DC. Why are you saying I'm more the Marvel guy?
You are the Marvel guy.
Why am I the Marvel guy?
Because you are the Marvel guy.
And you're not?
Well, I'm not saying I'm not, but you're more versed in Marvel than I am.
Yeah, but I'm also well reversed in fucking DC too. But I mean, that's fine. Whatever. That's fine. I'll stick with Marvel because you're like, oh, well, you like that better. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Whatever you say, pal. But anyways, I know we just went on a random rant there, but point is, until they get it right, we'll find out. But we'll see you until next time.
Stay geeky, 'cause we're geeks from the multiverse.